There are many tools which organizations use to help reduce and eliminate accidents and injuries. One of the more important tools is what we call the job safety analysis. It's been around for a long time. JSA, or job safety analysis, are just fancy words for finding out potential job hazards and unsafe procedures so we can reduce accidents. In recent years, job hazard analysis has crept into the safety vocabulary as OSHA requires hazard assessments in many of their standards. There really isn't much difference, so let's just say for now that JSA and JHA are basically the same thing. It's important that organizations use JSAs, especially in jobs and tasks that have some degree of potential harm to employees. It's not a complicated process, and it does help reduce and eliminate those nasty accidents and injuries. Let's take a look at JSAs to determine what they are and how to develop your own job safety analysis for your company or organization. Job safety analysis, JSA, is a method that can be used to identify, analyze, and record the steps involved in performing a specific job, the existing or potential safety and health hazards associated with each step, the recommended action or actions, procedure or procedures that will eliminate or reduce these hazards, and the risk of a workplace injury or illness. The following hazards should be considered when completing a JSA. The existing or potential safety and health hazards associated with each step. Impact with a falling or flying object. Penetration of sharp objects. Caught in or between a stationary or moving object. Falls from an elevated work platform, ladders, or stairs. Excessive lifting, twisting, pushing, pulling, reaching, or bending. Exposure to vibrating power tools, excessive noise, cold or heat, or harmful levels of gases, vapors, liquids, fumes, or dusts. Repetitive motion, electrical hazard. Light or optical radiation, such as welding operations and similar activity. Water has the potential for drowning or fungal infections caused by wetness. One, select jobs with the highest risk for a workplace injury or illness. 2, select an experienced employee who's willing to be observed. Involve the employee and his or her immediate supervisor in the process. 3, identify and record each step necessary to accomplish the task. Use words such as pick up, turn on, step down, and others to describe each step. 4, identify all actual or potential safety and health hazards associated with each task. 5, determine and record the recommended action or actions or procedures for performing each step that will eliminate or reduce the hazard. This can be engineering changes, job rotation, use of PPE, and similar recommendations. One way to increase the knowledge of hazards in the workplace is to conduct a job hazard analysis on individual tasks. A job safety analysis is a procedure which helps integrate accepted safety and health principles and practices into a particular operation. Each basic step of the job is examined to identify potential hazards and to determine the safest way to do the job. The terms job and task are commonly used interchangeably to mean a specific work assignment, such as operating a grinder, using a pressurized water extinguisher, or changing a flat tire. JSAs are not suitable for jobs defined too broadly, for example, overhauling an engine, or too narrowly, for example, positioning car jack. Certainly there are many priorities for everything you do in business, and that's especially true in safety management. It would be nice to wave a magic wand and get all job safety analysis completed on every task or job, but it's not possible. The best idea for JSAs is look at your company's exposure. Factors to be considered in assigning a priority for analysis of jobs include accident frequency and severity, jobs where accidents occur frequently or where they occur infrequently but result in disabling injuries, potential for severe injuries or illnesses, the consequence of an accident, hazardous condition, or exposure to harmful substance are potentially severe. Newly established jobs. Due to lack of experience in these jobs, hazards may not be evident or anticipated. Modified jobs. New hazards may be associated with changes in job procedures. Infrequently performed jobs. Workers may be at greater risk when undertaking non-routine jobs, and a JSA provides a means of reviewing hazards. After a job has been chosen for analysis, the next stage is to break the job into steps. A job step is defined as a segment of the operation necessary to advance the work. Care must be taken not to make the steps too general, thereby missing specific steps and their associated hazards. On the other hand, if they're too detailed, there will be too many steps. A rule of thumb is that most jobs can be described in less than 10 steps. If more steps are required, you might want to divide the job into 2 segments, each with its separate JSA, or combine steps where appropriate. An important point to remember is to keep the steps in their correct sequence. Any step which is out of order may miss potential hazards or introduce hazards which do not actually exist. Each step is recorded in sequence. Make notes about what is done rather than how it is done. This part of the analysis is usually prepared by watching the worker do the job. The observer is normally the immediate supervisor, but a more thorough analysis often happens by having another person, preferably a member of the Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committee, participate in the observation. Key points are less likely to be missed in this way. We call it a team effort. The worker to be observed should be experienced and capable in all parts of the job. To strengthen full cooperation and participation, the reason for the exercise must be clearly explained. The JSA is neither a time and motion study in disguise, nor an attempt to uncover individual unsafe acts. The job, not the individual, is being studied in an effort to make it safer by identifying hazards and making modifications to eliminate or reduce them. The worker's experience can be important in making improvements. The job should be observed during normal times and situations. For example, if a job is routinely done only at night, the JSA review should also be done at night. Similarly, only regular tools and equipment should be used. The only difference from normal operation is the fact that the worker is being observed. When completed, the breakdown of steps should be discussed by all the participants and always including the worker to make sure that all basic steps have been noted and are in the correct order. Once the basic steps have been recorded, potential hazards must be identified at each step. Based on observations of the job, knowledge of accident and injury causes, and personal experience, list the things that could go wrong at each step. Now you have the basics, but to really learn JSAs, let's review one right now. This is a job safety analysis for a maintenance department using step ladders. We can see a completed JSA with the title of this particular JSA as the maintenance department using step ladders. Basically, there are 3 columns of information: the task, hazards, and controls. Under the task heading, the first part is setting up the ladder and recognizing there are several different types of ladders. The second step is climbing the ladder and then removing the ladder. In the hazards column, there are potential injuries to self and others by losing control of the ladder, potential electrocution when setting up the ladder, and falling down while climbing the ladder. When removing the ladder, injuries to self and others. Controls section explains what should be done in each sequence of setting up the ladder, climbing the ladder, and removing the ladder. The JSA also explains what training is required, and in this case, use of ladders, use of fall protection, and lockout-tagout procedures. If there is any personal protective equipment required, this section would explain that. There are areas where you can list other information, such as video programs available, who helped in the making of the JSA, when it was created, and the JSA library number. All JSAs should be cataloged and assigned a specific number so you can easily and quickly refer to them when needed. As you can see, this is rather basic, but it gives you an excellent idea of what a JSA is and how to conduct a hazard or safety analysis. Certainly some jobs and tasks will be much more complicated, but with your JSA team and the people who do the jobs day in and day out, you'll have experience on your side. Quite often, employees will have suggestions and tips on how to make their jobs safer, or can tell you tips they use to prevent accidents and injuries. Job safety analysis or job hazard analysis are proven methods of improving your safety program. It's not rocket science, but common sense that will pay dividends. Each job in your organization should have a job safety analysis. Are you there yet?